Hi everyone, it's Sarah, and I thought I'd do another video for you guys about something that I think you guys should know about me that I've been kind of avoiding, mainly because I've been embarrassed, but it has to get done, and I need to tell you guys. So, this topic is about celiac disease, which I guess in a slang term is called gluten intolerance. So gluten-free, gluten intolerance, wheat allergy, things like that. But the real disease's name is celiac. Now, what I want to say is celiac disease is an autoimmune disorder, and it attacks the cells when there's gluten presence in the body. But before we get into that, let me just tell you something about celiacs, people. We don't have normal intestines. Like, it's weird. I can't really explain it, but the villi in your intestines, which catches little nutrients, like the villi in your intestines, they look like fingers basically, and they just grab the nutrients for your body. And we have villi, but the problem is our intestines and our villi lay flat, so we have a hard time grabbing things. So it's like this. It doesn't work well. Our intestines are different, so we don't catch up the nutrients that well. So that's why it's very important to take vitamins and eat healthy. So with that in mind, when gluten is in presence of the body, it is I can't really explain that part. When you consume gluten or wheat or barley or rye or oats, something with flour in it, something that you're not supposed to eat, like me, it has an effect on the body. It makes you bloated. You can bloat up like a fish. I bloat up like a fish. There's a lot of abdominal discomfort, like stomach aches, just sharp shooting pains in your stomach, which is normal if you have that and you have an accident, a gluten accident. Or you get constipated or have diarrhea. I could never say I've never had any of that problem. Okay. And other symptoms. When every time you eat gluten, your immune system drops. Basically, it makes you weaker. So that's why you really want to be careful about eating this stuff, especially if you are 15 and you're gluten-free, which is very good that you start off young, so that way you don't get sick and don't have a terrible immune system by the time you're like in your 20s and you need a job and you're on your own and you're going to college. Sorry, I was reading a text message from my mother. I'll tell you about my symptoms I get when I eat gluten, and that is, I get very bloated. And when I mean I get very bloated, I literally can't fit into my pants. I am a size 11 in jeans, and like between 11 and a 13. So that's pretty okay size in pants, okay? And if I eat gluten, I'm bigger than that. I tend to not fit in my jeans. My shirts are too tight on me. This part right here, my neck, like, yeah, I actually did have a gluten accident, and the main thing you can tell when I have it is my neck, my face tends to, if you can see, my cheeks are puffy. I sit up straight. My neck has this little flap right there. I know it's a double chin, but it mostly comes out when I have a gluten accident, so you can kind of see it. right there. So there's that for you. I get very fatigued. I'm so tired. If I have a gluten accident during the school year, I will be out of school for almost a week because I just do not function. I'm so tired. It's like I'm like a zombie. I will not care. I will just sleep for days. I'll get stomach aches. My stomach will just kill me. I will have such bad stomach pain, sometimes sharp pain, sometimes just aches. I just want it, terrible stomach aches. I get dermatitis, which is a type of acne. And from my last accident, I really broke out on my face. It's gotten really better over the months that I've had the issue. Also, another thing that I get very dry skin. It will mess up my eyes. I will get just really bad dry skin, dry lips. My hair dries out really bad, and my hair falls out when I eat gluten. I have no idea why. I'll throw up if I eat gluten. If I'm like really sick to that point, I'll throw up. I have depression, and if I eat gluten, that worsens so bad. I'm a very depressed person during that whole entire time. I guess, a little bit suicidal too about it, but I get really depressed, and I just get very, everything's so bland, everything sucks, this sucks, that sucks, I hate my life, kind of a depression. And I have depression even without when I eat gluten, but when I eat it, it's just worse. It's awful. I have behavior problems. I will be the biggest meanie face in the world. Like, meanie face doesn't even cover how I act when I have a gluten accident. I'm just out of control, basically. I'm not at all normal, like my normal self. I tend to get joint problems when I eat it. My joints ache. I get cramps because of it, and it just hurts so bad. So I'll tell you my story of celiac. My mom, my grandma, my sister, my aunt, my niece, and me, and yeah, that's family. And my uncle and my cousins have it, but they don't eat gluten free. They're in denial. They all have celiac. So everyone on this side of my family, on my mom's side of the family, have celiac. I was diagnosed when I was like about, I'm gonna guess 6 or 7, so I was like a second grader probably. And I had ADHD and ADD, so I was on a lot of medications, and that did not help me. I was very more hyper. So when I went to go in for a test about this whole celiac, because my aunt told my mom, I have celiac disease, you need to go get tested and test the kids. So my mom took me to the doctors because a blood draw came up benign, and it was benign, or as you can say, questionable. And they said, well, you can take her in to the doctor and have a very small, like tiny piece of her intestines removed. So I basically got a very small piece of my intestines removed when I was about 6, and that came back questionable. So they said, you can try putting on a gluten-free diet, let's see how she does. So at this point, I had ADD and ADHD. I was on all these medications that did not help. Not only would I either be one, hyper as all hell, I would be 10 times worse than I was before, or I was just like this. I would just be a zombie. I would not talk. I did not. And that really freaked out my mom, because she didn't think that was at all not normal. She hated the medication. So she's like, okay, I'll put her on a gluten-free diet. So the month I was on a gluten-free diet, I was awesome. My behavior problems went away, and I didn't I didn't take the pills and I was still fine. So they thought I had celiac, and I actually do. And it was behavior that you can mainly tell if you are a parent watching this and your kid is kind of like out of control or anything. You can try a gluten-free diet, but it's the most expensive diets out there. It's ridiculous. But I was just better, and I wasn't always getting in trouble at school. So now we come to the part after I went into 3rd grade. I was between 3rd grade, I was starting to eat gluten again, and nothing happened, so I thought, oh my god, I don't have it, whatever. I can eat school lunches, do whatever. But then 4th grade hit, and that's when I guess I started puberty. Now, there's a difference between little kids and gluten intolerance and puberty kids who hit puberty, teenagers, stuff like that. That's when I started getting really bloated. That's when I started getting the acne. My hair was awful. My hair was, in fact, I have pictures, so I'll be right back. Let me go get those for you, and you see a difference. Okay, sorry. So I guess we'll start in 3rd grade. This is when I was in 2nd grade. This is 3rd grade. Move over. And then 4th grade hit. You can see the swelling in my face and my hair. And my hair was very out of control, but that was because I hit puberty and I was eating gluten. And I was very swollen, and that's when I was actually diagnosed with depression in 4th grade. And I just kept eating it, and it made me look awful, and I was just sick all the time. And I'm sorry. I'm trying to look for something. Oh, I lost it. And I just found it. I got sick a lot, and I was just not doing well. So after 4th grade, had the most amazing teacher in the world. Came 5th grade, and that went all downhill. No one knew about celiacs, really. It was like a brand new thing. I was the rare case, and there was not a lot of choices to eat. There's not a lot of things we could eat, and it was just embarrassing. I still am a little embarrassed about it, but not as bad as I was in 5th grade. I was so embarrassed. I was eating it constantly. I ate it because I didn't want people to know I had celiac. So, I hit 5th grade, and my hair was not at all okay. My hair was terrible. I was still going through puberty. I still am going through puberty, but you know, this was when I first started pretty bad. And this was me in 5th grade. As you can see, I told you guys I had that little double chin right there. My hair was very poofy because I was eating so much gluten, and I was just picked on. The emotional thing a person can have is bullying from it, and I was picked on a lot. I was called fat, I was called ugly, I was called weirdo, I was called freak, I was called everything. I was bullied, and I just was very depressed, and I had a lot of behavior problems. I went from, in 3rd, 2nd grade, from this tiny little girl to a whopping 170 in 4th grade. To 5th grade, I was at 250 pounds. That was my biggest, and I looked tan. sorry, and I was being bullied, I was being called, I was being just names, and I couldn't take it. I was having behavior problems. My teacher was bullying me as well. She would call me fat, she would call me ugly, she would call me stupid, she would call me worthless, and it caused my depression to get very terrible just because I was eating gluten and I was gaining weight, and I was not good. So what happened was I finally snapped, and I got expelled from that school in 5th grade, and I got held back. So I started off at a new school in 5th grade, and well, I still ate gluten, and I was being picked on still, but it wasn't bad. I actually had friends, and I just did not like my body. I hate the fact that I ate gluten. To me, it was like an addiction. It was like addicting, having all those yummy, delicious foods in my mouth that I couldn't eat. But after finally getting into 6th grade, I got transferred to a new school, and by the time of the ending of 6th grade, I knew I had to stop because I was gigantic. I was wearing like a size 16 in jeans. So, and then I started exercising, I started eating gluten-free, I started, just doing stuff like that, and my depression got better, and my behavior started coming into check. It was just something that I knew I had to stay away from. And I don't go near it anymore. I've been tempted, but I knew the downfalls. Like, I tell myself all the time in my head, is it really worth to have a donut that you haven't had in years, or is it worth to have a donut and then be a bloated fish for like 2 months? Like, that's how long it lasts. It lasts 2 months, and you can drown it out by water and vitamins and stuff like that. So mine lasts for like a month and a half. So there's that, and the health concerns that you can have from eating gluten for an extended amount of time is amazing. The top number one is cancer. Now, if you have a family that cancer runs in the family, and you have celiac disease, that's just a big signal that you need to start eating gluten-free. My mom had stage 3 colon cancer because they think it's from eating gluten half her life, and she's recovered from cancer. She's cancer-free, thank God. But she still has complications, she still has issues from it, and it's just exhausting. And it's just very scary to know that you can get such an awful disease from that thing that you could have fixed. You can get heart problems. I think that's what my mom told me, that you can get heart problems. You can get heart failure, congested heart, an irregular heartbeat, stuff like that. You can get joint issues, you can get arthritis, you can get things like that, and honestly, I kind of have arthritis now just because I pop my knuckles all the time, but it's worse when I eat gluten. Depression, you can get depression from eating gluten because it messes with your brain, it messes up the levels of your serotonin in your head, so it causes your serotonin levels to drop, and causes you to be depressed and just very tired and not happy. And we don't want that. You can get thyroid problems. If you have thyroid problems running in your family, and you have celiac disease, you're more likely to get it because if you're eating gluten, you're more likely to get it. Like right now, I may be gluten-free, but actually I've had to go in a couple of times to get my blood drawn to see if I had thyroid problems, because yeah, you will lose your hair, because your hair, if it's When you eat it, it goes at the cells and it drops your immune system. So like, let's say the cells in your hair, the stuff that's keeping it growing, stuff like that, it will basically stop just to fight off the problem because you ate gluten. It will just stop what it's doing, and your hair will become dry, brittle, very, and it will just fall out like that. And also, if you have thyroid problems, you will lose your hair too. So there's that. Now, for kids, most tests that you do will come back questionable or negative. In fact, most of the testing that they do will come back negative. Even in teenagers, it will come back negative. It is something that I think you have to be finished with puberty. You have to be a full-grown adult to be get a real answer of positive. Comes back benign sometimes, or questionable or negative. But when it comes to adults, it's easier. I only know this because the minute my mom got her blood drawn, it came back positive a couple days later. And then they did me, it came back questionable. It did not answer really. And the main things you can really catch that, sorry, there's a lawnmower outside. The main thing you can catch that you have celiac disease in your kids or in yourself is just the physical symptoms. Do you feel sick all the time? Do you feel tired? Do you have like flu-like symptoms? Do you have headaches? Do you have stomach aches? Do you have constipation or diarrhea? Do you have loss of hair? Are you tired? Are you getting dermatitis? That's something you guys need to watch out for. And the bloating is the big thing. When you are diagnosed with celiac disease, there's no cure for it. The only thing you can really do to fix it is eat a gluten-free diet for life, basically. And there's a lot more choices of gluten-free. There's a lot more stores there, and King Soopers, Target kind of, Walmart kind of, and Whole Foods, and Vitamin Cottage, Safeway. A lot of things are gluten-free. In fact, fast food restaurants are gluten-free now. They're working on it. Wendy's, McDonald's. Oh no, I'm hungry now. McDonald's, Carl's Jr., Red Robin, Udi's, Bojo's Pizza, My Pie, P.F. Chang's, try to think. Nicolo's Pizza. I'm trying to think of things that are in my state. Sorry. I don't know if this is a law in other states, but it is a law in Colorado that all things, like, let me go get an example. Sorry. Okay, I'm back. Here are some examples. Because my sister eats gluten, she buys the Kroger brand of double stuffed ravioli. Kind of jealous, but in the ingredient section at the bottom, if you can see it, let me get a little closer. It says contains wheat, soy, and milk. So they tell these people, it's actually a law in Colorado that you have to label things that it contains of allergies. And Hunt's Manwich Original Sloppy Joe sauce. Ew. It will tell you if it's gluten-free. And if not, the only way you can really tell it is things they put in things that are wheat is like maltodextrin, glutamate, wheat, flour, barley, and then there's the rye, and then there's oats, And things like in shampoos and conditioners and makeups, yes, there's wheat in those. Is glutamate acid, wheat protein. So a lot of things like that, that just gives you a telltale sign. So if there's nothing that says gluten-free or contains, then you just read it and you go off of it. But basically, that's it. Like, there's a lot more choices than there were before, let me just tell you. And it's really bigger now because I know celebrities who are on a gluten-free diet. I have 2 friends who have celiac disease, and I get that at first it may be a little embarrassing and you don't want to tell people, and I'm still going through that where I don't want to tell people. I mean, God's sakes, I didn't even tell my ex-boyfriend. Thank God he never asked me out on a dinner date, seriously, because I did not plan on telling him. But basically, that's it. Like, don't be embarrassed. Tell people, and they will understand, because now it's a bigger thing. I tell my parents, my friends' parents, that I have wheat intolerance. They're like, oh, okay. Well, let me help you. I'm like, but it's just, don't be embarrassed. Just go for it. And it may be weird at first, but they'll get over it and they'll get used to it, and they'll learn if you just teach them and show them. Like my best friend, we've been friends for 2 years now, and she knows basically everything about wheat and gluten intolerance. So don't be embarrassed, just go for it. And I hope this video makes people feel better who have celiac disease, because I'm one of those people. So I hope you guys like this video, and I hope you enjoy it. Bye.